Living Clean, Living Well is a presentation of the Canadian Centre for Abuse Awareness.
It's Sunday night and you're watching Living Clean, Living Well live here on CTS Television. Hello everyone, I'm Teresa Kruze, your host, and it's so good to see you once again. Thanks for inviting us into your living rooms and into your lives. We're glad to be here. You know, I was thinking that it's been a while since we've done a general forum, a general question and answer type show where, you know, if perhaps you're struggling or a loved one is struggling with an addiction problem or substance abuse, that maybe you could just call in and ask your question. It doesn't have to be on topic. So I want to do one of those shows tonight. I've got some great guests. Would you please welcome to the show from Last Door in Vancouver, Giuseppe Ganci and also Darren Gaylor. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello,
They
Teresa.
were so fabulous last time that we decided to ask them back. So you've come in from Vancouver and you know, the last time that we chatted, you've got so many great things happening out on the West Coast, and I just thought, you know, I've been asking you for a while to come back, so I'm so glad that we could make this happen. It's a big year for the Last Door.
Yes, Last Door is celebrating 30 years of breaking the chains of addiction, and we're really excited to celebrate it with the community and all of our alumni and their family.
Wonderful. What do you got planned?
Well, this year we got a busy year. We're kicking off our 30th anniversary on July 27th. We have our annual Family Day, which is about 500 people will be attending, and it's a barbecue, games for kids. Right. And we've also got a baseball tournament for people that are in recovery. And we're going to top it off with a gala dinner, which is the Black Tie Affair. And we're going to get 500 people to get all dressed up and have some fun.
Yeah.
Celebrate recovery.
Yeah. And you've got a great emblem that you've come up with. Your emblem is very active within your group, isn't it?
Yeah, the Breaking the Chains emblem, it's designed quite a while ago, but we've redone it for this year. It's going to be on all our new merchandise, and a lot of our older alumni have it embroidered on some of their outfits and tattooed and so forth. So it's quite an icon for us. Yeah.
So the last time that these two gentlemen were on, I was really impressed by their candor and their honesty about their pasts and in their lives, and I wanted you to get to know them a little bit more as well, so that you feel safe when you call in, because I mentioned off the top of the show, not only are we going to be talking about Last Door and all the great things that they're doing in Vancouver and in the surrounding area, but also we're here for any general questions that you may have tonight. It is an open forum on addiction, substance abuse, trauma, whatever is bugging you right now. We want to know if you've got a question. I know sometimes some of you wait to pick up that phone, so we would love to hear from you tonight. So what I'd also like to do as we kick off this show is to get my guests to tell you a little bit about their backgrounds. Darren, how long have you been a counselor now at Last Door?
It's been 7 years now.
Enjoying your work?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, as much as it is the same, it's so different on a day-to-day basis that it keeps it exciting, and there's always, challenges to work with. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your background.
My background, well, I didn't get into this field out of sheer interest or keenness. It was always, from a place of, personal relatability. I've been homeless. I've been under the notion of being a junkie, drug addict, whatever, kind of connotation you want to give it. I was it. And, I'm 6'5", and I got my weight down to about 150 pounds, was my worst. And my family's seen it, and friends seen it. And it got me to a point where along the road, I stopped in at about 12 different treatment centers, just trying to get a quick fix, clean up, get back into life, and with all best intentions, try to stay clean. And inevitability was that I couldn't stay clean because I didn't change. And the last time I wound up at Last Door, and they gave me an opportunity and held me to the accountability of what it takes to actually make the changes, and then taught me how to maintain it. And
so was that the turning point for you, would you say?
Oh yeah,
at Last Door?
100%. I don't think it was any different in the beginning than any other place or any other. It was always the same opportunity. there was a few things different with me. There was a few things different with, you know, just the environment itself that kept me accountable to specific things I needed to change at the time. And like pushed me into my adversities, pushed me into my responsibilities that I had been running from.
Yeah.
And going to treatment was actually part of running from my responsibilities. And it wasn't until they taught me how to bring them in and challenge them that, I mean, I don't think I would stay clean if I kept doing treatment the way I'd always done it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you've been a counselor now for 7 years.
7 years
Very good,
doing what we call group therapy, but it's a 2-hour group every morning with all our clients.
Yeah.
And, you know, like to put it in kind of a practical sense, it's almost like a locker room, you know, where all the men come into one room, there's a couple of coaches, and there's, you know, there's your rookies and there's your veterans. And we kind of prep ourselves for the big game, you know, that day. Specific people.
The big game of life, huh?
The big game, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes, I mean, literally, you'll hear us down the block cheering each other on, sharing each other's experiences, and being a part of each other's lives. And other days, it'll be real quiet because there's, you know, some real deep and serious things going on.
Yeah.
But we hope at the end of the group that we all have a direction and we know our positions.
Awesome. And Giuseppe, would you like to share a bit of your story and your journey of how you got here?
How I got here is a miracle. I mean, I just love listening to Darren speak, and basically I never thought I would end up here in a place where not just being clean from drugs and alcohol, but also just being content with life. And I was never happy. I always blamed everything on everyone else. I just thought life had handed me the worst part of life, and I didn't know how to move forward with it. And then somebody taught me, you know, you need to start taking some responsibility for your life and start forgiving and moving on and just, you know, enjoying life minute by minute, and eventually you'll realize where your place is in this world. And that's kind of, you know, the philosophies we have at Last Door, where just get clean a little bit and life will get better. And for your viewers out there, if they're wondering, you know, why is my life, you know, not as happy as the guy next door, just don't worry about the people next door. Just worry about yourself, worry about your own family, and worry about how you can get through the day, you know, taking your own inventory, taking your responsibility for your life, and having some gratitude for the things you have, and stop worrying about the things you don't have. And I tell you, until I started doing that in my own life, because I could never, ever see the good in my life. I always saw the bad. And I was convinced my life was bad. I was convinced. And then finally I had enough people to say, hey, your life's pretty good. And, you know, once I got out of the drugs and the psychosis ended and I had enough days back to back, I actually just got a little glimpse of like, yeah, my life's actually not that bad. Yeah. And then enough days combined, I realized it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I got my problems, but yeah, I got my good days. And I guarantee you, if you're at home right now thinking that your life is just horrible, if you just think about it and take some time to breathe and get some help, you'll realize just how good your life is. And all that negativity stuff will all go away. Yeah. I guarantee you. I've seen it happen too many times.
Sure, you've seen the transformation.
I've seen it in thousands of people. Yeah.
Well, let's get to our phone line, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's go down to line 4. Rob's calling in from Toronto. Rob, welcome. You're our first caller tonight. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm interested in a supporting relationship. There's a woman that I may fly to that I met only once, but the person has sent me a book called The Language of Letting Go, which describes how not to repeat predictable relationships. And the person has admitted that she has alcohol and marijuana addiction. So I already know the predictable outcome. I don't want to repeat the same things, but yet I know a person in my life or myself in the other person's life can make a whole difference. I don't know how to step forward because I know I can't be a sponsor, and also she's aware that you should be clean for a year before you get involved with someone. Yeah. But it seems to be difficult to really understand that.
So you're wondering how you can move forward in this relationship, Darren. And I can see you over there. You've got something to say to Rob, I'm sure.
I mean, that's one of those topics. You know, what do you do when you know someone's struggling? And I think, I mean, there's different stages. There's, you know, somebody in denial that's lying to you about the issues that they have. There's somebody that's willing to tell the truth, but it's still kind of unresolved. And then there's somebody who's, you know, kind of transcended into and away from that, and it was their past. It was the story of who they used to be. And it sounds like you're describing, you know, someone in the middle who's still dealing with the unresolved substance use. And I mean, I know what it's like to want to try to fix. I mean, you know, we all feel like we have a sense of power and compassion and, you know, all it takes to get somebody well. But that's not always the basis of any intimate relationship. And, you know, sometimes those get mixed up, like, oh, I was trying to help and I went in with the best intentions. But we're always needing to step back and wait and see what that person, him or her's, you know, actually going to do. And the other thing I just wanted to, you know, touch on too is that I know there's this kind of unwritten rule about 1 year clean before getting into relationships, but I tell you what, a lot of people abstain for long durations of time, multiple years, dozens of years, and actually don't even touch or begin to change the behaviors in specific life areas like relationships. So wait a year, and if you haven't changed anything, then you're now that person, but you're just a year clean.
Yeah.
You know, without real the insight or you know, the conviction to work on that relationship.
Yeah, we definitely encourage people to date whenever they meet people. I mean, getting into a relationship and dating are separate things, and to wait a year and hold your breath before you get into a relationship with another human being is just depriving you of your basic human needs. So what I think is, if you're going to do anything, bring it up, bring it for review, talk about it with your sponsor and so forth. And I just wanted to also add to what Darren was saying, there's also programs like Al-Anon and Nar-Anon that are great to attend, so you know how to handle someone else's addictions to drugs, alcohol, or whatever the case may be. And you know, those meetings go on across North America, and every day of the week there's Nar-Anon and Al-Anon meetings. So it's definitely something to take a look at and to see how you could better prepare yourself for someone else's disease of addiction.
Rob, did you have a follow-up question, or does that work for you, what Darren and Giuseppe had to say?
Yeah, I think that it's clear then that dating is something I shouldn't be afraid of, and nor should she. And that in fact, getting into the relationship is a different level.
Yeah.
So at least maybe if I do make an effect on her life through dating, as I do agree with the expression that someone in your life can change you, even though there's the same statement that no one can change you but yourself. They seem like contradicting comments, but we know, we need to have others in our life that will inspire us to change, but there's a fine line between the dating, as the gentleman said, sorry, I don't remember your name, the dating and the actual getting into the relationship. There's a difference, and that's helping.
That's important to know that dating and exclusivity are completely two different. I mean, a lot of the immature mindsets that get involved in early recovery, and what always happens, that's why it doesn't matter about clean time, is that they date, and all of a sudden, without any discussion, they're in an exclusive relationship with all the expectations without the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Without each other totally understanding where and what I expect from each other. And I've read the book, The Courage of Letting Go, I think it was. Yeah, and I mean, to be able to step back. And I think that one of my biggest sicknesses in getting into any relationship that never worked out well was that I held on. I mean, I was infatuated or lonely or desperate or dependent. And we're talking sometimes, you know, not so well people, but also at other times like well people.
Yeah.
And it was always, you know, me that just didn't and wasn't self-aware enough to go, I'm not capable right now. I could go on a couple of dates, but that next step, I'm like, I may be presenting myself like I have a job at the time and be absolutely broke, you know, living in a treatment center, but I've got my best shirt on, you know, because I'm lonely and I'm desperate.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, every human being longs for that connection, and so that's what I mean about the best intention.
Yeah.
But
Really good insight, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Rob, a great question to kick our show off tonight.
Thanks,
As
Rob.
I mentioned off the top of the show, this is a general forum for your questions tonight. We haven't done one of these shows
Cool.
where we've been, you know, we've been topic centric. We've had, we talk about various things.
Yeah.
And it's nice just to be able to throw the phone lines open. So tonight, folks, whatever you need to ask about addiction, substance abuse, as I mentioned, perhaps it's you or a loved one that may be struggling, we're here for you tonight. My two guests, Darren Gaylor and Giuseppe Gansi from Last Door in Vancouver. When we come back, we will take more of your calls and questions. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Living Clean, Living Well. We're taking your general questions tonight. Darren Gaylor and Giuseppe Gansi from Last Door joining me tonight from Vancouver.
Hello.
And it's very nice to have the West Coast also represented here on our show. Let's go now to line one. Sean's calling in tonight from London. Hi, Sean.
Hi, folks. Great panel. I'm enjoying listening to you guys. I have a point to make and then a question. I want to hang up and listen to how you guys answer this question. First, I'll point out I got sober in '98, as did my wife. We actually met in detox.
Right on.
Sober now, been sober since. It does work, but it's kind of rare. And I wouldn't advise against it. You know, it's tough to do coming out of rehab. My other point is, sorry, I was diagnosed with cancer 2 months now, and I still have a month to go in treatment, but it's going to be okay. I'm coming out to the side of it, and I'm very thankful for that. Okay, but my question now is on to the rehab situation. People are coming on all these TV shows, it seems, left and right now, and Dr. Drew, and interventions, and they're coming out the woodwork, and I suspect there's a lot more coming. But if you watch those shows closely, too many of them don't put the blame where it should be, on the users, abusers, and the poor families are messed up, and they're left to deal with this. And you know, they try that crazy intervention at the back, but the whole thing all along doesn't really point to what the problem is. And I fear for people in rehab if that's the first thing they're seeing are those TV shows, because that is not reality. It took me a long time to grasp it. And the last time in, I ended up in detox. Really, really wanted to be sober, and I stayed sober since. And, you know, you have to want it. I don't see that, and I don't see it in those shows. I'm going to hang up and listen. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much,
thanks, Sean. I totally share that perspective. I think there's too much bias on every opinion about what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And there's always an argument, and you know, there's always some sort of agenda, I think. And if everyone from one side of whatever their agenda is were able to step back and just take a look at what the other completely oppositional approach is saying, you know, I think we can start finding some solutions there, because those shows, intervention, you know, most treatment centers will push that you're a poor, you know, powerless, choiceless human being, and you know, kind of treated in that sense. And I think, you know, what Sean was saying is that at some point that has to stop, and you have to be held accountable as the human being that you are and the behaviors that you are portraying.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Sean. I think that does get mixed sometimes, because I think the poor little you know, drug addict cells. And, you know, you're an example, like you said, rare at best, but that's what we're trying to say, is that everything works. And there is the people that, you know, a doctor tells you you're gonna die, you're getting cancer, you have to quit smoking, and there's a ton of people that will just quit smoking, you know, from the advice with their own free will. And we're talking about a substance just as addicted as anything else. So, and then there's other people that'll be outside right after the news, you know, smoking a cigarette. So there is, and there isn't powerlessness and personal choice and free will, and, you know.
Yeah.
So I love that he brought his own personal experience in there.
Perspective. What's your take on this one?
Well, I think everyone's trying to hold the niche on what works best, and everyone's got the first, and everyone's got the best, and everyone has the most innovative, and everyone has, you know, it just goes, I go to conferences across Canada and into the US, the last Artist conferences, and everyone's got the new and improved and the best. And all we know is for 30 years, what we've been doing works for us. And it works with a lot of people, and it gets a lot of people well, and that is abstinence-based treatment, and that is, you know, taking your own inventory, adapting to the philosophies of the 12-step programs, and building part of a recovery community. And we, from our experience, what works best is when an addict or an alcoholic ends up caring about the person next to them, and ends up being part of a recovery community, and ends up giving back to a community. Not just taking the counseling, not just taking what they need and then going home, going to work and saying, thank you, I'm done. It's actually being part of a big recovery community. And that's what we do. It doesn't work for everyone. Some people go to LifeRing, some people go to SMART, some people go, you know, wherever it is that they're going. Whatever works for you works. If you want to do this program, then this is how we're going to teach you how to do it. And hopefully it works for you. But we don't think our way is the best way compared to every other way. And everyone has a journey of recovery. It's their personal choice, which we believe everyone has a personal choice. You can't take that away from people. And
which is what Sean's point was with the television shows.
Yeah. And bottom line is Last Door's biopsychosocial model. And that's the human being. We're not religion-based. We're not to even 12-step based, even though we send our guys to local community meetings. It's about discovering a fellowship. It's about discovering what resources are out there. But really, I mean, we try to stick to practical applications. Like, you know, as soon as you become religious-based, then, well, what religion are we choosing our clients to be then? You know, so we invite and allow every ethnic background, every culture, every religion anybody wants to practice from that point. We are just the community that you kind of need to reach out coming from addiction. It seems to be that the nature versus nurture argument. We nurture the guy that's run his life into the ground. And from that point, it's like, okay, so now how are you going to fend? How are you going to cope with life? And that's an individual process. It cannot be governed by this. This is the way it's going to be for you, and this is the way it has. You have to change all your ideals and beliefs. So you have to challenge most of them, but who you are has to be brought to the plate.
Yeah.
Has to be brought to the plate.
Well, tonight on this General Forum show, so it's open lines tonight. Whatever you would like to ask or talk about in the field of addictions or substance abuse, we are here. I mentioned off the top of the show that my guests tonight, Darren and Giuseppe, are from Vancouver, and that's interesting itself when you're in recovery and you're traveling. And you guys have come up with a Unity app.
Yes.
And they were telling us about this last year when they were here on the show, and I hear you've got an update to it.
Yeah, well, last time we were on the show, we were just starting to launch our test version, and we've launched 2 versions of Unity app. It's a geolocation-based networking tool, so people in recovery, despite what fellowship you're in, AA, NA, CA, CMA, GA, you can geolocate other people that are in recovery around you, and you can ask them for help. You can ask them, hey, I need help, I need to go for a coffee. You can also search local recovery events or global recovery events. So say you're traveling, you're from Toronto and you're visiting New York City and you don't know anyone, you can just ask the app, you know, who in New York City is in GA and who in New York City is in NA, and the app will tell you. And we're really excited right now because as we're kicking off our 30th anniversary for Last Door, we're also going to be launching version 3 of Unity app, which we believe fingers crossed, is going to revolutionize the way people in recovery communicate with each other. Lots of new features, lots of new screenshots on version 3 of Unity app. So we're really excited.
How do people find it? How can they download
Well,
this?
how you can download it is www.unityapp.net is the website, or just go on iTunes and search for Unity app, all one word. And the Android version will be coming out in October with version 3. So we're super excited.
Yeah, way to go, guys.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our phone lines. Calling in tonight from Toronto. Let's go to line 1, and Alex is there. Hi, Alex. Welcome to our show tonight. Have you got a question or a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to give a quick, just about myself, because I know, everything that you guys are talking about. I've been almost 10 months clean and sober, and but prior to July 3rd, I hadn't seen my wife or kids, and for almost a year and a half because of circumstances, and I fell 80 feet, got over 22 fractures, and I'm doing so okay right now. But when I came out of the hospital and I came out of ICU, bought myself a truck, and I wasn't supposed to be in driving. I was supposed to stay in hospital for a lot longer, and I just continued to medicate the way I've always done, and figuring that life was going to get better, but it didn't. And I bought this brand new truck, and I crashed it in a tree, and I'm on this DUI charge on top of a breach of probation. And anyways, not to make a long story short, the point is I'm alive, and I should have died twice in that 1 year, but here I am, July 3rd, and the anniversary of the accident. But within 2 or 3 months ago, I'm steady seeing my kids every weekend, right? And I've told my wife, everything what happened with me, and we were dealing with lawyers, and now we got the lawyers out of it, so we're trying to see if we can deal it with ourselves. And financially, I've been cut down, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is, how do I get my wife to, I can't do it. I guess she's got to decide for herself whether she wants this help, but I don't know what kind of relationship she wants to have. And I'm just really torn. I'm torn what to do. I've got a sponsor, 10 months, 41 years of living of self-run riot. And, everything you guys are saying tonight, yeah, that's just amazing. But it's just, I'm slowly starting to see it, I'm going to meetings and, talking with my sponsor. But I just, it's like I'm back at the house, on weekends, seeing my kids, and I'm grateful for that. And, I spend a lot of time with them, but the interaction with the wife, and it's just like, it's like I'm living where I left off, as opposed to my role in the family, because she kind of, she had a part in the way the situation turned out, but I try not to blame, and it's just, I'm over that, I've forgiven and everything, but there's no interest in us getting back together. She has this, she's delusional, I've made her sick, and I just don't know. Maybe I'm just here to hear your advice, and I don't know what to say anymore. Just
Alex, this is good that you picked up the phone tonight. First of all, wow, what a journey you've had. We're glad that you're alive too. And sometimes when these things happen, it's like, wow, why is it all seem to be falling in on me? And for some reason, it's like life's got this plan. We don't know what it is, but life's got a plan, and we got to get through it the best way that we can. So you called in tonight to ask for their advice, and I really think that was a great idea. So who would like to start, gentlemen?
Alex, do you know what co-parenting means? Have you ever had that discussion?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I go through in a typical week. I go to a Toronto rehab. Like I said, I'm involved in AA. I go to 2-3 meetings a week. I meet up with my sponsor. I go to the drug addiction counselor.
So So he's asking for advice with his
Yeah.
relationship and his wife.
So Darren is our co-parenting facilitator, where he deals with a lot of fathers who have wives and kids. So I'm going to let Darren talk about co-parenting.
I don't know. I could be wrong, Alex. It almost sounds like you're asking, like, when am I going to start feeling better? Like, when am I going to start feeling okay? When I'm doing all, the work I'm supposed to do. You're making your commitments. You're staying clean. You're going to the meetings and working with your sponsor. When am I going to start feeling better? When am I going to start seeing some rewards? And I mean, I think that's what really decides. I mean, whether you want to call it the universe is trying to decide whether or not you're the type of man that's gonna raise these kids and be there. And you're kind of going through a test phase right now is how I see it. We tend to clean up and think that, like Giuseppe was talking about, how he saw his addiction. You got the short end of the stick. You got the bad card hand, and when we stop kind of doing that and then actually take responsibility with the task at hand, we're not really, healing too much of our spirit yet. We're just realizing the damages that have been caused and that it's going to take some time. And I would just say, do not stop doing anything that you're doing that's keeping this flow and it's keeping you clean and keeping you a dad. It may not be the dad you want to be right now as far as the schedule goes, but I mean, you'll learn some humility out of this, or you'll fold because it's not happening quick enough for you. And I've watched too many people just throw it all away because their wives aren't coming back, their kids aren't coming back, they're not saying I love you or I trust you soon enough. And I think it's just like, well, slow down. Like you need to kind of earn that back. Like you said, you've caused some damage. Like it's a literal sense of a car crash. Then you wake up and got to look at what the rehab is, not just in your physical body, in every relationship in your life. So just keep going, man.
Keep doing the right thing. Keep being a father to your child. Keep going to meetings. Keep adding recovery to all the situations in your life. Not just the bad situations, but the good situations, because I'm sure you've got some good days. And just keep practicing recovery, because in the long run, if you keep adding recovery to life situations, things will work out and things will get better. I guarantee you. And it might not happen by Tuesday next week, and you won't have the white house with the white picket fence and the dog and the wife and the kid, but at least you have a relationship with yourself, you'll have a relationship with your child, and you'll have a working relationship with your ex-fiance or ex-wife. And everything will work out, and life will go on.
It does whether we want it to or not, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, adding drugs to the situation is not going to help it.
Yeah, but Alex is on the right path, though.
Yes.
He's doing everything.
Yeah,
right.
it's
just time, right?
And it's getting out of that, like why isn't it okay? Because everybody says, stop using it. It's going to be great. Things are going to work out. Gifts of recovery. And I mean, I kind of say that with some cynicism, because sometimes the gift in your life for your journey is a death, a loss, a firing from a job. Like, it could be not the pleasantries that people seem to relate getting clean, doing recovery, and then being rewarded these good fortunes. I personally think it's crock, in a sense where it's like life is life. So sometimes you'll get a very hard challenge. And I think the guys that go through those ones with kind of a forum of recovery behind them and support and people with them and never lose sight of the goal, end up coming out with like a huge lesson learned.
Alex, thank you so much for calling in. And to all of our calls tonight, from Rob, who started things off, and then we had Sean, and now Alex. I'm hearing a key theme in here, and it's relationships. I want to tell you as well some added information for you. We've got Maureen Bryan coming back on the show in a few weeks. So if you'd like to stay tuned and watch our show every Sunday night, Maureen will be on, and she is one of the foremost I guess you could say, experts in the area of relationships in how it all works with addiction. So you guys we've had their take, and then we've got the other side of things as well. What was that, Darren?
I said I might have to talk to her.
Yeah. Okay, shall do. We're going to take another short break here on Living Clean, Living Well. When we come back, more from Darren Gaylor and Giuseppe Ganzi.
Thanks.
I've had numerous opportunities to get into addiction counseling over the past 5 or 6 years. This one at New Awakenings really appealed to me. First off, the facility here, we've got a swimming pool, there's a gym downstairs. Other side of the fence, golf course, it's fantastic, and the food is, world class. The staff cover all aspects of recovery. These are people with extensive experience in the field, all with the sincere desire to be helpful. If you want a shot at recovery from drug and alcohol addiction, New Awakenings is your best bet. Give us a call, we'll get right back to you.
Welcome back to Living Clean, Living Well. Tonight we have two gentlemen from Vancouver, the Last Door Recovery and Treatment Center from Vancouver. Giuseppe Gansi and Darren Gaylor are joining us, and we've been making it an open forum tonight, so anything that you would like to talk about, we can. Just before the break, we were talking to Alex, who was talking about, you know, with his addiction and how it related to his family. You had one more little bit of advice for him?
One advice we give to a lot of our husbands and people with kids is never argue with the other partner or the ex-wife, because having an argument over what is right and what is wrong is only going to do damaging to the child. So always just work with until, you know, things can be worked out, because arguing just isn't going to solve anything.
Yeah, but you're always going to get into that tricky area. How do you stop it before it blows up? What's your advice?
You add recovery to it. You add recovery. You take your own inventory. If you don't know what step 6 and 7 is in the 12-step fellowship, is just taking your own. How can you add a positive to a negative situation so you can work through it? Because, I mean, your responsibility in life is just to build a relationship with your child, and that's what you need to focus on. And fighting with the old partner is not going to solve anything.
And Alex stated that he had a sponsor, and I mean, there's a purpose for all of that, right? I mean, so many times we want to go it alone, and then we're without that accountability. So don't go into anything alone. If you're going to pick up the phone and you need to ask for help or suggest something, or, you know, have a conversation, have somebody standing right beside you.
Yeah.
You know, just sometimes that extra ear right there keeps us from saying the things that we, you know, later on down the road wish we never said.
Absolutely.
Because you forget you're fighting with your baby's mom.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. And that's who you're fighting with.
Yeah.
You want the kid to pick sides?
No.
So.
Well, let's move on now. Let's go to line 2. And Patricia's calling in from Toronto tonight. Hi, Patricia. You're live on our show. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's 12 o'clock here.
Yeah, well, we're right across Canada, so out in Vancouver right now. It's just after 9 at night. So, yeah, go ahead, Patricia.
Yeah, I would like to ask some questions, or possibly you could give me some advice as what to do. I'll make my story short. I met this guy. His name is Patrick. I met him over a year ago. We became the best of friends. But because of his addiction and that and where he was living, I brought him in to live with me. And he was with me for 8 months until he got himself into a bit of a problem. He's now staying at a place called the Seton House in the East End of Toronto. But they're not doing anything for him. And what scares me the most is a few days ago, he took a whole bunch of pills. I don't know what he took, where he got them. He OD'd, but thank God he survived. And I'm really scared, really concerned about the situation. I've talked to a couple of his family members, but because of the past and things that he has done, they don't want to have nothing to do with him. And I've been told by his family and other people that I should just walk away. But as it stands right now, I'm the only one that is giving him any kind of moral support. But when I see him, and if he's high and unaware what's going on around him, like, it just tears me apart, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what else I can do for him. As I said, I've been there for him through everything, but I don't know. Sometimes I do feel like just walking away, but I can't do that.
Yeah. I'm so glad that he has you in his life. Gentlemen, do you have some advice for Patricia?
Well, Patricia, I think as in earlier in the show, we were giving some suggestions. If you haven't been to, I suggest you find an Al-Anon or a Nar-Anon meeting in your community. Just go on the internet and Google Nar-Anon, Al-Anon with your city name next to it, and you'll find meetings, because I think that's the #1 priority, is how can you get well dealing with this. And another thing is, I think you should probably take a look at getting some help and talking about boundaries and having that conversation with your boyfriend, and just have that conversation where there's some boundaries in our relationship, because you need to take care of yourself as well. And there's a lot of help out there, a lot of services for addicts and alcoholics to get well. Unfortunately, they have to choose to get well, or else none of the services will work. So my suggestion is go to an Al-Anon, go to an Nar-Anon meeting, have that discussion with him about boundaries, and take a look at what your needs are for a relationship with another human being. Are all your needs being taken care of? And if they're not, then it's something to have a conversation.
Darren?
Yeah, it's always difficult. As a parent, as a friend, as a partner, we always run into somebody who we cannot stand seeing them the way they are in active addiction. It crushes our hearts. It hurts our feelings. It invokes, total powerlessness in ourselves. And what happens next is utter confusion. Why is this person living like this? And then we reach for what's happening. Why are they acting this way? Is it because they don't have a choice? Is it because they're sick? Is it because they have mental health? Is it the drug itself? And it's all of them and it's none of them. And at the end of the day, you're left with, I don't know what to do. And that's a powerful statement, Patricia, because the answer is in the question of what can I do and what am I willing to do? And I've talked to parents, family members, partners who resent the addict, but really if with some work, they regret the decision themselves and how long they put up, and how could a brother or a son or a father do this to me when I was just trying to help them? Why did they rip me off? Why did they lie to me? And what happens is you see that person just fold and then start questioning their own integrity. And that's where the line has to be drawn. As soon as you start regretting the decisions you are making, it's like letting go of a relationship, breaking up with somebody. You have to let them go. And I know there is a chance that person could perish in the way they're living, but that is not on anybody.
Yeah.
And you just mustn't believe that if you closed the door that day or said, don't phone me anymore, I can't, it hurts too much, that it's not that person's fault. This is addiction.
So a lot of my guests that come on to Patricia, they say the same thing that Darren and Giuseppe are saying, and that's you've got to look after yourself first before you can look after someone. So Giuseppe suggested the Al-Anon or the Nar-Anon. He said, Google it, put the name of your city beside it, and there will be services there for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's like-minded people there that will be able to
Like-minded that
talk.
have all been through it, and I know a lot of people that have gone to Nar-Anon and Al-Anon meetings, and their lives got better, and majority of their partners or families or loved ones that were in addiction have gotten better too.
Yeah.
My personal story, my life got better when my family finally cut me off. It was like, don't call us anymore. We got no more money for you. You know what? We don't even care what you're doing at Christmas, because I would take advantage. And I always had a sob story that made everybody feel bad. They finally smartened up. And I had a couple of years of no contact, and then I realized I need to get well. And I actually got more respect for the people that put that wall up, because they weren't messing around. They're like, if you want to be part of my life, this is the standard you need to come up to, because I'm not going to watch people fall apart.
Patricia, I hope that that helps for you tonight. We're going to take another short break here on Living Clean, Living Well, but when we come back, more of your phone calls. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Patricia.
Statistics state that it is likely you know a victim of abuse. It could be a friend, a relative, a colleague. It could even be you. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will be sexually abused before they reach the age of 18. Please give them hope. Help us make it stop. Go to abusehurts.com and give to the Canadian Centre for Abuse Awareness.
You're watching Living Clean, Living Well. Tonight, my guests, Darren Gaylor and Giuseppe Ganser from Last Door in Vancouver. And I want to tell you about our upcoming shows because we really have an outstanding lineup for you. And it's funny how some of the questions that are coming up tonight, I've got some guests coming on as well that can add some insight to the tremendous advice tonight from Darren and Giuseppe. So, of course, we have our regular contributor, Dr. Vera Tarman. She will be back on. In the upcoming weeks, you can look forward to seeing Georgina Cannon. Don Slessor's coming back. He's an addictions counselor. Maureen Brine, who I mentioned, she's an addiction specialist and also a relationship therapist. So we've got a lot of relationship questions tonight. Maureen Brine is coming on the show in August. Then we've got Rick Osborne and Marty Cosgrove. Haven't been on together in a couple of years, so we're going to have a little reunion on the show. Longtime viewers of Living Clean, Living Well will remember Rick and Marty. And of course, Andrew Walton and Jim McKenney will be coming. They're coming up in September, and they, of course, are from New Awakenings. But tonight we're talking to Darren and Giuseppe, and it is always great to have you gentlemen back.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be
here. It's been a year. It's been too long. But we have another phone call, so let's get to that as well.
Okay.
Let's go to line 1. Kevin's calling in from Toronto. Hi, Kevin. Have you got a question tonight? Kevin, you there?
Yes, hi, Heather.
Hi. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, first time calling in, and I just wanted to know how do you know when you have an alcoholic problem?
That's a fair question. How do you know when you have an alcohol problem?
Well, I mean, there's, a few questions to ask yourself when you start. Can you stop? What are the consequences? Are they immediate? Anytime you're under the influence, and what's your first coping mechanism? Is in front of any feeling. Is it the alcohol? Is it some sort of substance? Mm-hmm. But awesome question, because, I mean, generally people don't go past that one.
Mm-hmm. There's varying opinions on it, too.
Yeah.
Sure. Because the question's been asked. Kevin, a very fair question, and a lot of people have called in and asked because, alcohol is such a socially accepted thing, and how much is too much, and when do you have a problem, and when are you just a heavy drinker? And is there a differentiation between being a heavy drinker and somebody in the throes of addiction?
I mean, it could be anywhere from, do you spend your rent money and your children's cereal money on a bottle of vodka before you pay the rent and buy the cereal? Then that's probably a good sign that you have a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. Or it could be just, you're drinking when you don't want to drink, and it's Thursday afternoon, and you just wanted one beer or one glass of wine, but it's a bottle later or a case later. And if that makes you unhappy, then you could use support out there to help you stop drinking. And it really depends on what your personal choice is of too much, and what your personal choice is that this is making my life unmanageable. And there's people out there, including myself, that needed to be told that, hey, you got a problem, because I lived for years thinking my life was just fantastic, even though I was in debt and I was completely unmanageable. But I was of a severe case where I needed someone to tell me, hey, you have a problem. But there's a lot of people that can come into recovery just on their own saying, hey, I've had enough. And it could be anything from marijuana to alcohol to drugs. It all depends on your own personal choice. If you have somebody knocking on your door and they're saying, hey, you got a problem, chances are you have a problem, because people just don't go around telling you that you have a drinking problem when you don't. So if some people are around you, your employer and so forth, are telling you, then it's true, you might have a problem. But if your own personal choice, if you're drinking when you don't want to drink, then consider yourself as having a drinking problem. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Kevin, does that help? Do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, my concern about it is that it's not really a concern. I guess it's more of just kind of seeking clarity and trying to understand, and not only understand but accept. I guess when you come to the place where you think that you know yourself so well, and then all of a sudden you have to admit a reality that is not really what you think you are, you find a way to make a lot of excuses for it. And my situation is that I grew up with, friends drinking all the time, hanging out and things like that. I never really thought much of it until recently. I noticed that when the friends aren't around, I kind of want to still have a drink and hang out and just, so, somebody told me one time that you have to be concerned when you're drinking alone. And I started drinking alone, and I watched the hockey game, the sports games, and I just find it makes me feel better when I'm drinking. But I also noticed that I don't drink one or two. I drink to how I want to feel. And I've been doing this for some time now, and now I'm starting to get concerned. At first, I didn't realize it, but now I'm starting to say to myself, well, is there a reason to be concerned? Because I'm finding that I can't maybe control it as much as I used to before. And I guess I'm ashamed in the sense that, should I get some help? And if I should get some help, do I want to make that public? Do I want to accept it? Do I want everybody to know about it? Or am I going to just be in silence and continue doing what I'm doing, but at the same time suffer the risk that it can get really bad? And I guess that's why I called, because I wanted to know what are the symptoms. I can go, I find that when I'm busy, like, with my girlfriend and things like that, doing things days on days, I find that I'm okay.
Yeah.
But when I get by myself, I find I want to drink. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily drinking every day, but I would say when I have the opportunity, I would take advantage of it and drink to an excessive amount. Yeah. So I guess that's why I'm concerned of what really, what are the symptoms of an alcoholic? Because although I'm not drinking every day, I do desire it when I'm by myself to do it, and I'm concerned if that's becoming a problem now and where that can lead to, I guess, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm listening to the gentleman in the middle. Is it Giuseppe?
Yes.
Giuseppe, yeah.
And I was hearing what he was saying about, going to his family and taking money and things like that. I'm not at that point, and I'm definitely not, I guess, consider myself to being that excessive. I pay for my own stuff, but I do realize that when I'm working, a lot of money comes out of my work to put towards that personal habit, and I'm a little concerned. I guess what I'm trying to say is I just don't know where I'm at right now, and I need to figure it out because I don't want it to get
Kevin.
bad.
Listen, I really appreciate your honesty. Thank you for explaining a little bit more for my panel. Giuseppe, did you want to do a follow-up?
Yeah, Kevin, really simple. Go on the internet, Google, am I an alcoholic? Alcoholics Anonymous. And Alcoholics Anonymous has a really easy, I think it's like 20 questions. Read the questions on a piece of paper with a pen, write the answers down, don't just think about it. And by the end of that questionnaire, you'll probably know if you're an alcoholic or not. And if that doesn't make you happy with that, then I would go ask for some professional help and just have that conversation. Because the one thing about alcoholism and addiction is it is a progressive disease. And when I started to use, abusing, and misusing drugs and alcohol, it was just a little bit here and there with a couple of paychecks, and it progressed to, major amounts of money and major dishonesty. And everyone's got it. I could have stopped a long time ago, and it could be your story. You could stop it now, or you could, there's nothing wrong with having a beer by yourself, by the way. having a case of beer by yourself could be a problem.
Another resource for everyone is the Recovery Wire magazine, a great friend of our show. And if you would like to request your free copy, you can contact Recovery Wire magazine. It's full of great resources, great articles, all sorts of things that you could find interesting. And so my guests tonight, Giuseppe Ganci and Darren Gaylor from Last Door in Vancouver. They have flown out to be with us on the show, and I can't thank you enough, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm going to be asking you for some final thoughts just
Sure.
as we head for our last break here. But I also want to mention to you that we are going to be live throughout the summer, and we've got some great guests coming up, as I was telling you about earlier. So please keep watching. And I have to thank everybody that's called in tonight as well. I thank you for your candor. I thank you for your honesty. And there's a lot of questions there that, you know, it's been great to get Darren and Giuseppe's take on your questions. Down the road, next week, the following weeks, a lot of those questions are going to be answered as well as we continue to bring in what I feel is a star-studded lineup of guests. Well, two of the best are sitting here tonight. We're going to be back with their final thoughts right after this.
Thank you.
I've had numerous opportunities to get into addiction counseling over the past 5 or 6 years. This one at New Awakenings really appealed to me. First off, the facility here, got a swimming pool, there's a gym downstairs. Other side of the fence, golf course, it's fantastic, and the food is, world class. The staff cover all aspects of recovery. These are people with extensive experience in the field, all with the sincere desire to be helpful. If you want a shot at recovery from drug and alcohol addiction, New Awakenings is your best bet. Give us a call, we'll get right back to you.
Welcome back, everybody. Some final thoughts now from my guest. Giuseppe, would you like to go first?
I just want to say thanks for putting us on the show, and also my thought is for everyone to take an opportunity, if you're struggling in life today, is be grateful for what you do have. And my life started to change when I started to actually take a look at what was positive in my life, and I worked with that, and I stopped the necessity of the world to entertain me, and I realized I had to be part of this world, and I had to be part of the services that are out there. Society doesn't owe me anything. When I got into recovery, I thought society did. When I was suffering, I thought it did, but now I know I need to be part of society. It doesn't owe me anything.
Darren.
Don't ever stop asking questions. I think as soon as there's a concern in our own minds, in our own hearts, and we don't know what to do and we don't know the answers and we're ashamed of ourselves, ask the questions, talk to as many people as you can. Have a counselor that you can kind of get through your stuff with, and at the end of the day, you will know the answers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Darren Gaylor, Giuseppe Ganci, thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to talk to them further, you can find them at Last Door. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Living Clean, Living Well has been a presentation of the Canadian Centre for Abuse Awareness.